Hey, Mark Agnesi here again in the back room at Norman's Rare Guitars. Once again, it's time for Guitar of the Day. Hey, do you like a good legend, a good myth, perhaps a holy grail quest? I do. This guitar today, now this is not original, but these are the most quested after guitars of all time. Some people say they don't even exist. Some people say a few were made but destroyed. Some people say all sorts of stuff. If you know anything about vintage guitars, you know I'm talking about the Gibson Moderne. Right now, why don't you come back, check out the one that we have here. This one, the case has seen better days. Luckily, it's just the case. Somebody's cat got to the case, but hey, still says Gibson on it. But this one's from 1982. This is original reissue of the Gibson Korina Moderne. Some people think it's the ugliest guitar that has ever been made. Some people think it's rad. I happen to be the latter. I think it's totally rad. But if you're not hip to these guitars, let's talk about them for a second, because there's so much history and so much folklore about these instruments. It all starts back in about 1957. 1957, Gibson's sales were kind of starting to decline. There's these new guys on the block called Fender who were hawking these guitars called Telecasters and Stratocasters, and it was really eating into Gibson's market share. So in 1957, famed Gibson president Ted McCarty submitted 3 different patents to the United States Patent Office for 3 futuristic, modernistic guitars. Now you got to remember, 57, we're in the space age, mid-century, all that stuff is happening right at this time. So those were the Flying V, the Futura / Explorer, the name kind of fluctuates, and then this guy, the Gibson Moderne. And then prototypes were all hastily made and rushed so they'd be ready for the 1958 NAMM show. People claim at that NAMM show that only the Flying V and the Explorer were shown. People say that because there was never photographed, yet there's been tons of people recounting that all 3 were there. Even reps from Fender recall saying that all 3 were there. Ted McCarty went to his grave saying that at least a few prototypes were made of these, but he had no idea what happened to them. Some people claim that they were so poorly received that Gibson just destroyed them and they were never seen again. Some people say that they were dismantled and the parts were left around the factory, and people were said to have bought the parts at auction when Gibson left Kalamazoo. A former Gibson employee by the name of Rendell Wall, who actually went on to co-found Heritage Guitars, the company that took over Gibson's factory in Kalamazoo when they left to go to Nashville, said in 1960 he went into Gibson's morgue, where all the stuff ended up, and actually took out on loan a Moderne for the night to play at a performance of Bye Bye Birdie in 1960. Said he could have bought it for $50 because it was so ugly and poorly received, but he used the excuse he was more of a country player than a rock player and decided to pass on it. And the legend continues to go. Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top, probably most famously, is the one guy who claims to have one. Nobody's seen it. It's been photographed twice, and one time the picture looks like this. You can't tell what the hell it is. There's so much mythology. Dan Erlewine, the great guitar luthier, claimed to have had one that was re-necked with a Melody Maker neck. There's just all of these different things. Our amp tech, John Tucci, specifically recalls, I believe he said it was in 1968, he was at Rudy's in New York buying himself a 345, and he saw a Moderne on the wall. But no one knows where they are. No one knows if one was even built. No one knows if anything exists. If someone were to find it, this would be the most expensive guitar ever sold. A couple cool things. These are made of Korina, which is African limba wood, very similar to mahogany, but it's a lot lighter weight and also a lot lighter in color. The other cool thing about all the futuristic guitars are they're the only Gibson guitars to be 3-knob. So you got a volume for each pickup and then a master tone, where all the Les Paul SG 335s, all that stuff has tone and volume for each pickup. The Flying V, Explorer, and the Moderne just have the master tone. My absolute favorite thing about this guitar is the headstock, which is most people's least favorite thing, but it looks like freaking Gumby. And then it's got the 3 or 4 string trees that all go at the angles. I think it's the raddest thing of all times. I've always been infatuated with this. Another reason I like this one's from 1982. That's my birth year. So I've always wanted a whole Korina set for myself. But the Moderne is the one that I'm most fascinated with, and the first one I would buy of the three, to be perfectly honest. This one's in really great shape other than the case. Just a little bit of rash here on the back, but just in the clear coat. Tuners are right, frets are right, pickups are the original Tim Shaw humbucking PAF pickups, which are becoming quite collectible in their own right. On the internet there, you see people asking as much as like $750 for a set of those. It does have the original case. Inside of the case is beautiful. Outside of the case is a little whack. But hey, let's go out front, plug it in, see what kind of sounds we get out of this futuristic machine. All right, we're out front with the 1982 Korina Gibson Moderne reissue. We got it going through a stock 410 hot rod DeVille, all the EQs and doing a little bit of reverb, a little bit of overdrive. Because of the Moderne myth, we're just going to keep it all revving Willie G today. Let's start up in the neck pickup, see what kind of sounds we get out of that thing. Moving on into the middle position combination of those two pickups together. Let's see what kind of sounds we get out of that. Hey, it's trippy, man. Hey, let's go down to the bridge pickup. We're gonna start with this thing clean. Hear what that bridge Tim Shaw PAF can do here. There you have it. It's the biggest mystery in vintage guitar history, and it still remains unsolved. No one knows what happens. But this one's from 1982. It's a reissue from the Heritage Series Korina Moderne, original natural Korina finish, to Tim Shaw PAF's original hardshell case. Hey, check me out on Instagram at Mark Agnesi. Follow the store at Norman's Rare Guitars. Check out this and all the rest of these guitars online at normansrareguitars.com. And we'll see you guys tomorrow for Flat Top Friday. See you then.